Hi guys, it's Junior again. I'm just waiting for this YouTube to confirm. As soon as I get the confirmation from the YouTube, I'll put both of us. We can see. I can see what we can see actually in there. Just a second. Waiting for this. Awesome. I can hear myself. So good morning, everyone. It's Junior and Amanda is here as well again. And as always, we have a little chat, which is meant to be for 5 minutes. Sometimes it goes like, I don't know, 15 and so on, but we're here again. Um, we were chatting how much we feel the the transformation as we going through this as well. And I feel the more we kind of, connect with the person that we really are, or who we really are, like we mentioned in one of the episodes, the easiest is to allow transformation. And we just came with that analogy that Amanda just said, like, the butterfly, analogy that we hear it so many times where, it comes out of that, cocoon in there, and then it turns into a butterfly. And I feel every single, episode that we're doing, it's almost like we're allowing that little, butterfly within us to happen. And I feel with you as well, and with, with the world around us. And when I mention this with the world around us, it's because people around us can start feeling, the transformation as well. And I feel like we're on track of what, inspired us to start with it as well. And I hope you guys, regardless, where are you listening to it, when are you listening to it, and if you came, this the first time that you came to the conversations that we're having, and it feels a bit, what are these two talking about? I know you can feel, and you're gonna connect. The ones that you feel the pull to connect, or will stay here and then we'll connect. The ones that don't feel aligned and then it doesn't feel like the right time, it will go. So that's all fine as well. And I feel the same way. There will be moments where you feel more connected with us, and there will be moments where you're gonna go your own way, and so on. So it's just like staying open. For today's topic, we're like just having a little chat about, the conversation between the mind and the feelings that we have when the mind is playing up, when, our logic and everything, our ego, however we're going to label it, and when we have a feeling from our heart. And we spoke quite a few times on the previous episodes as well about the contraction that we get, that kind of the idea of the pain. So when something that is not aligned with us, which doesn't feel good, and there's that feeling, that contraction inside of us somewhere. It could be a feeling of stress, a feeling of anxiety, a feeling of, a depressive feeling, whichever feeling is it's just or a sadness, a grief of something. And regardless of what it is nothing more than our body expressing, look, there is something here that we can transform, that we can look at, that we can alchemize, like, using the alchemy chart, we can like let that butterfly come out and not label it as a bad thing, but just an instruction for the next step. So that's what we're talking today, and I'll pass on to Amanda.
Well, thank you, Junior, and good morning, everyone that's listening, whether they're live or as a recording. It's so wonderful to have you here with us, and you are very much with us. And I love how you introduced this, Junior, because I'll just sit here, I love it. And yeah, as we were saying in our chat this morning, it's that transformation, isn't it? And it's understanding as well that if we try and solve a contraction or emotion purely in our head, it's our logical mind, or the very thing that's creating the fearful thought, or the thought that doesn't match our higher self. And our higher self, the energy, the emotion, the experience of our higher self goes from, and with the open eye meditation and doing our breathing, when we go into that place of calm and openness and relaxation, we open up our body awareness. And in that place, to the mind that's used to quite strong emotion, they're very hypnotic, aren't they? There's a strong vibration to them. We can get a bit mesmerized. As we go beneath those temporarily, in that space, there aren't what you might call, it doesn't create a negative emotion. So it goes from calm to comfort to contentment to resolution. It's peaceful. It can feel inspired, enthusiastic, joyful, blissed out. And we are meant to feel all of those. So we're not meant to feel blissed out all the time, or just in a place of space and calm. So, but it's the mind that can create, with those conditional thoughts, those limited beliefs that don't match our higher self, our soul, that knows that now is the time as physical beings. Our true self is eternal. We are safe. We are nurtured. We are loved. We are worthy. We have infinite value. We matter. We want to change. We want to be the change we want to see in the world. We're passionate about that. And if you're someone that's listening to this, I think you're someone that will sit here going, yeah, that's me. And it's understanding that when we have an emotion, it's really just the messenger. And if we open up our body awareness, we can open up our body and listen to that emotion. Emotions like the guide that's saying, we're going to take you to somewhere that there's a change that wants to occur here. There's a rebirth. There's a resurrection of a part of you that had to think something, had a limited belief about itself, but we're waking up, we are ascending out of those beliefs now, because they're not serving anymore. It's time to come out of that. So emotion, when we go into our body space and we feel that emotion, in that space, we remember we are so much more than that emotion. So it doesn't scare us so much. There's a beautiful space around that emotion. We can let that emotion be. And it's also when that emotion knows we're listening to it, it can start to dissolve a little bit, because it knows it's not having to constantly knock on the door saying, you're having this thought, it's not serving you, I'm going to knock even louder. And then when we sort of start to feel that emotion, feel that contraction within us, and we can locate it, where is it? We can talk to it, we can hold it from that presence of calm and space. We can then, the emotion might say, well, I don't feel safe, or I think I did something wrong, or whatever it wants to say. And it's then what we can then connect with the limited thought. We can then connect with the mind. We can then connect with the wound or the trauma or the limiting belief. And it doesn't have to be a huge traumatic event to cause a very lifelong limiting idea. There can be the drip, 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 this constant feeding. I mean, if you were born to a parent who maybe was very busy, they had to put food on the table, they had to work all the time. So when they got home, they hadn't got the emotional availability, they were tired. So when they came home, they perhaps couldn't really be available to you. And if you wanted to talk to them, they were maybe not that available. So you learn, maybe had an idea of, I don't matter. I'm not worthy enough. If I talk about my feelings, this parent gets very upset with me. And this person wasn't abusive with you, but it just beliefs started to occur as a child. And so we don't want you to think there has to be some huge traumatic event every time that can cause very limiting beliefs. And we come through genes and genetics and social conditioning as well. And it's then when we're in that place of calm and trust and openness, and we're open to change, we're open to healing, we're open to knowing that there's an energy around us that supports us and wants us. And that's when we can allow that contraction to be released back into the source energy, life force energy. And then we can beautifully hold that little thought or that part of us that's got separated, and we can bring it back down into our heart. We can give it what it needs. And that's when that part of us can be reborn. There's a transformation, and some people call it soul retrieval, rebirth, soul rebirth, when that part of our consciousness has just got a little bit lost in a belief that doesn't match who it really is anymore. And for a lot of us, I truly believe we came here, we had to experience those limiting beliefs and conditionings to heal them. So as you said at the beginning, Junior, every time we heal something, we know we're healing and cleaning and clearing it for the collective. And that's when I think Junior and I were saying that as we're getting these huge, profound healings ourselves, you can't always put your finger on it, but you know, there's a newness about you, there's a lightness, there's a feeling of elevation. There's a more of an openness. You know, there's parts of yourself that have shifted and changed. And we can't quantify that. It's just a knowing. And I think it's
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think it's beautiful that you were saying you were talking to somebody else who you are very close to, and this person is very spiritual, and the books you've been reading as well, and you were saying it's no coincidence that they're all saying the same thing, but from a different angle, and this discernment of, and when we're in this place in our heart-centered awareness, that's when our wisdom comes in. So the ego can be a little bit naive, and that's we can get ourselves into situations that maybe we haven't got the inner depth of wisdom, and experience gives us that as well. But when we're coming from this place of heart-centered consciousness, that inspired knowing, that intuition, that guidance comes in, that's where our deeper wisdom comes in, and that's what we call discernment as well. So somebody might tell us something. In fact, I was talking to someone I adore the other day, and she's going through a really big thing, and she's spoken to lots of people about a situation that she knows she needs to make a decision on at some point. And she was getting a little bit upset because she'd gone to somebody some advice. They'd given them their opinion, and this beautiful person had kind of acted on it, and it hadn't gone very well. And the thing I was trying to say is, of course we can ask advice, of course we can get different opinions, but that's more of that part of ourselves not trusting who we are and constantly needing reassural and being told what to do from outside of ourselves. And I very gently and lovingly tried to say, you know, you know, and it's okay that you don't know at the minute what action to take, but when we accept we don't know something, we go into that place of calm and openness, and we focus on, well, what do we want? I want to live in an environment, I want to have people around me that are open, it feels loving, there's open communication, there's constant upliftment, there's love. If there is an issue of communication, we can bring this in. We know to do our own healing first, because we don't want to be reactive. And I just gently shared this with her, and I was so aware I didn't want it to come as a judgment on her, but just trying to deepen what she was saying. And she got it. And she said, yeah, without realizing it, I'd made this person responsible for me. I'd acted on what they'd said. It had had not very good results. And now I was blaming this person I'd gone to for advice. And she said, it's allowed me, and what it brought through for her was this trust and wisdom that was always there. And I'm always telling her it's there because you can always see it. But this wonderful experience had allowed her to see that. And when I got a message from, I think it was yesterday, she was saying, she said, it's like I've connected to this depth. It's like a goddess has come out of me that's knowing, and I'm trusting myself. And she said, I don't know what the outcome of this thing's going to be, but I'm starting to see the flip side of it. I'm starting to see the positives. I'm coming out of just, oh, this is bad, I don't like this. And I'm coming out of, I can see the potential again. I can see the beauty in this. I can see the beauty in the other person and who that person is. And I can create the outcome from a feeling of trust and faith. Life wants the best for me. It wants the best for everybody. It adores me. Nothing happens as a punishment. And she was so thankful this thing had happened with this person, because it had brought up that belief of, I don't trust myself. I have to do what others tell me to do. And then when it didn't go wrong, so it was that powerlessness that she was living from. And that experience had deepened her awareness and her connection. So she's saying, I'm doing my breathing now, because I know when I do my breathing, go into my body, that's where I touch that. And she calls it her goddess. She said, bless her, she said, I feel like Beyonce, you know, I'm getting to business. You know, I mean, she made me laugh. She was just sort of saying, I feel like I'm channeling Beyonce, you know, and it's what we were saying. We can have energies that they don't also have to be a saint or a priest or an angel. You know, she was saying, there's this strength in me and I feel strong as a woman. you know, that blame, that victimness, that powerlessness. She said it's beautifully transforming into wisdom and strength and creativity. She says, I know what I want in my life and I'm making it happen.
I love, I mean, I'll always leave you into your flow. And then I think, and as exactly what I said just before we jumped into the call as well, Amanda, I feel more importantly than the words that you were saying, and I want people to feel into everything that you were saying, because I could feel my energy, changing, and my, my heart opening up, and I could feel, do you see that trust or that connection with, my inner power, with my inner Beyonce, let's say, in that sense,
Yeah.
which is fun. And I love how much we can demystify a little bit of this idea of, like, it just has to be this specific name of God, or this specific, I don't know, guide, or this specific entity or something. There's nothing wrong with, using any of them. And like you mentioned earlier, someone that, is close to you that really connects with Jesus, for example,
Absolutely.
and someone that really connects with Allah, or or really connects with, I don't know, Greek gods. And I just finished reading yesterday a book as well about Stoicism. I don't know if you heard of
Yeah.
Stoicism, yeah, the Stoic, and they were talking about different gods, like the narcissist and like the other gods, and like this god is kind of putting, different challenges. And it's nothing more than, if we take it, like if we put it like down to earth, is, that perception of that aspect of that we
Yeah.
have in our mind, and the aspect of the Beyonce goddess, do you see in there, it's actually, it's working out for your, for your friend or client, it is bringing that power within her that wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I can connect with, several books that I read, and, people that connect and everything. Like I mentioned the Napoleon Hill, the, Think and Grow Rich, when he thinks about this council of people, he calls it the mastermind, where you sit down and then you imagine that big, table, that room, and then you see, okay, who is going to be here today to, counseling me. And then like, I can see Thomas Jefferson, I can see,
Yeah.
I don't know, this
Absolutely.
president, I can see someone that it's living right now, I can see Beyonce, for example. I don't know, whichever it is that we want to put on that table to empowers us, to help us to move to the next
And I
step.
love that because as we're saying, it's that feeling of inners that's already there. And life will say, well, we're going to give you an example of what's there.
Yeah.
So the Edison guy, the guy that I don't know how many times he failed creating the light bulb, said, no, I'm keeping going. Every time it fails, I've learned something more about what I can change to make the light bulb. And um, I mean, I think I was sharing with you the other morning and starting to feel more comfortable sharing my own spiritual side as well. And I had a huge transformation, and Wayne Dyer came through, and I think for me, I'm able to very much sort of feel this and say, I don't know, but it feels like Wayne. He's got that lightness, there's a jokiness about him, but and he was sharing some things with me about my soul and who I am, and he was showing what had happened on his physical form when he passed from being physical to this
Mhm.
beautiful light that came out. It was beautiful to see him, and I would normally speak to Jesus or Mary Magdalene, St. Francis of Assisi, my dad, who passed away when I was 11, who showed me nothing but unconditional love, my spirit guide, Keviel, my gorgeous man, and my husband, who passed away 9 years ago. So, and my grandmother. Very much that's the committee. But Wayne Dyer was there, and as I was wanting to communicate with my committee, my usual committee that they come in, and Mary Magdalene and Mother Earth and Father Sky, and they sort of parted. I was like, oh, this is new. And then I felt God come in, and that was not a common experience to me. I feel source energy, I feel the love of God, but direct communication. And He was saying some things to me, and He was showing me my soul and my soul's identity and more about why I'm here. And it was beautiful, and I can still feel, I'd say his, her, but put his hand on my lower back. I can still feel it now. And afterwards, Wayne Dyer came in and he just lightened it because he said, "Ah, you've been talking to the big kahuna." Like, is that what you calling me? Yeah, the big kahuna. And it was just, he made it light and funny again. And it took the heaviness of what the conversation I'd had and what what we're all here to do. And someone could be listening to this going, "You didn't talk to Wayne Dyer and he didn't say that to you." And all I can say is, as I was feeling that and imagining it, my feeling within, it helped me. I felt lighter, I felt joyful, I felt easier, I felt a stronger sense of faith, a renewal in my own self as well, and who I am. And I can't prove to anybody that Wayne Dyer, who made his transition several years ago now, amazing teacher that he was, an amazing soul, um, multidimensional being that he is. I have no scientific evidence that that happened, but what I can tell is how it made me feel when whether I just imagined it or not, it's the feeling it gave me.
Absolutely. And I mean, I love, I always kind of connected the dots in the way that I look at the world. And of course, everyone that is watching this will be, connecting your own way of looking at the world. And I really feel we have and I said this analogy a while back as well, that lenses that we have in our, in our eyes. And some of us, let's say if we have yellow lenses and we see, I don't know, a blue wall, you're going to say it's green and it's green and so on. So I know that, some of us, we can, see whatever we're going to call it, God, universe, the Wayne Dyer, or the godness of Beyonce, to use it inside
Yeah,
of ourselves.
yeah,
And at the end of the day, I know that whoever is watching this, you're going to connect with this as well. I
yeah,
feel, yes, we are human beings in that sense, which is about being, which is connected with the feeling, who am I being right now? Do you see? And we can connect with these different beings that we have in our head, different identities, different, guides, whatever it is that we, it's individual to each one of us in that sense. And I mean, if you go for the more scientific world or for the more kind of like a down to earth as well, we know that we think that we take decisions or we do things from a thinking mind, which is mostly from an emotional mind. Which it's like you think the decision was like, no, it's logical that I bought this specific car, for example, but no,
yeah,
there is an emotional, change. There is, of course, the beliefs and everything in there, but there's an emotion that makes you, buy that car. When you get married, why did you get married? There is a feeling in there that allows you, this is the right person for this path that I'm going to go through in that sense. So there's emotions in that way. And when we go inside of who we really are, again, we talked about this before,
yeah,
we're going to connect with those emotions, and those emotions will transform our decisions, that will transform the world around us as well. So the same way that Amanda spoke about this, was a friend of yours or a client of yours?
yeah. It was,
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll call it Beyonce lady.
because that's her sole purpose. She's a really strong woman.
Yeah.
She's a strong modern woman. This, you know what I mean? Yeah, she's quite fearless in lots of ways, but it was just this little bit of powerlessness, that childlike part of her that is so ready to be healed and brought back into, rebirthed into power.
Can you see now, for example, how, and this is what I believe what we're doing here can influence so people so much as well, because like Beyonce was literally that power that she needed to reconnect with herself. By Beyonce being herself, it helped her to reconnect with that, inner power, the transformation. Can you see the ripple effect that Beyonce, by being herself, is transforming, through this friend of yours and so on. And your friend now, it's becoming, that light and transforming our conversation now, that is transforming the people that actually, having that ripple effect in
And
there.
And I love that because we're saying that. So this beautiful person who is part of my soul group as well, she's not now trying to be Beyonce. She's not developing an idea of, I've just got to get obsessed with Beyonce, so I need to do everything Beyonce's doing. If I copy Beyonce, she knows that it. She could see the energy, and it spoke to her heart. It was like her soul said, "What you're recognizing in Beyonce, you have within you." So Beyonce was almost like a pathway back to herself, because as she recognized the light, the strength, that kick-ass woman, you know,
But
it
can you
brought her back to that within her.
the aspect, and I love that analogy that we can only see what we have inside of ourselves, you know, that mirroring, that if we see something in someone, it's because we're seeing through that lenses, the mirror reflection of that. So it's not that she, like what you said, it's not that she has to be the whole Beyonce, but she's looking at an aspect of Beyonce that is connecting to who she really is, to
Yeah,
give empowerment and so on. And the same way, sometimes we put another image in there, which other people might be looking at you and say, oh, but she's, I don't know, she's done this way. She shouldn't have done that way. Do you see what I mean? She's not a great person. She's, you know, done wrong in this and that. And it's just the lenses that we're going through. So is it empowering me by looking at that person in that way? Or is it disempowering me
yeah,
by, you know, looking at the weakness? And there's nothing wrong. And again, it goes back to this stuff that we just been talking all over and over again. As soon as you start recognizing the weaknesses or the badness, let's say on Beyonce, for example, that you're gonna feel there's that contraction inside of you. Oh, there's something here that, you know, pushing me away, or it doesn't feel good, and so on.
yeah,
And that same thing will help you to reconnect with yourself again. So that trigger that came from, you know, Beyonce in this sense could actually
yeah.
help you to guide you back if you pay attention to it again.
And I love that, because that's the difference between, because when we when we observe something also from the mind or the ego, it can, if we're looking at somebody, there's a difference between judgment and discernment. So whenever we judge somebody, and that can be a little bit of self-righteousness maybe, um, and we'll know when we're judging somebody because it won't feel good. We know when we're judging somebody, even if we're just thinking about them. But when we come down to discernment, which is what you were saying, when we take it deeper, so when we judge somebody else, it hurts us. If you've judged somebody in the past, it's felt icky, hasn't it? It's felt icky. But when we go beneath that judgment, that sort of, I've got to make that person wrong to validate my belief on them. When we take that deep and go into that space of calm, we could say, yeah, I can see there's a strength in Beyonce, but maybe there's things that she's done that don't feel right to my higher self. And then that's not a judgment, it's just a choice. And we're saying that when we live from that higher self, who we really are, open mind, our heart centered consciousness, our human personalities, we realize that life's just lots of choice. Does this match my higher self? And that's a choice. So it's always a yes. So on the external, it might look like a no. So someone might say, no, and I think I've seen some stuff that doesn't resonate for me. I'm not tuning into her strength. There's something else. You'll say, so, but what is the yes for me is maybe a strong mother. So my person might be a strong mother. So I can think about someone that's a strong mother, and they might need somebody outside of them that inspires them, that have that strong mother energy about them. And then that's a yes. So we realize that when we live from that place within, it's a constantly series of yeses, saying yes to love, who we really are, what's right for us. And we know that when we do something that's right for us from that heart center place, it is always right for the other person every time. So in our mind, discernment from our hearts, and that's the wisdom of discernment as well. And then it never feels icky.
I feel, yeah, I love that you brought that up, Amanda, because it clarifies a few things again, of course, for myself as well. Because you can feel from, connecting with your feelings again in terms of like, discernment and, the contraction or the expansion, when something feels not aligned, let's say, not connected with your values, with who you are and everything else, it will feel like a contraction. It's like, there's something here that it's not, yeah, it's not going well. When it feels aligned and it feels connected to who you really are, then there is that expansions of like, you can make choices without a judgment in that way. And
Yeah.
the few of the words that came up, it's like when we blame someone, there is straight away you can feel the contraction. When we feel a victim of, because that person looks this way, then again there is a contraction. When we compare with them and like, oh, but Beyonce, it's much more successful and everything else. But there is a different way of just like, just even saying that word. It's like, oh, has success inspired me? There is a
Yeah.
different feeling. There is a different thing.
Yeah.
Or has success threatens me because I will never get there. Do you see? It's like comparison
Yeah.
and victim and blaming and shaming and so on, that that it's not connected. But there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong again on feeling those things, because they're there just as like a guide and say, hey, there's something here. Let's pay
Yeah.
attention. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Let's see what's happening in there.
And I think I mentioned before the Melanie Tony Evans, who does a lot of work on narcissistic recovery. And she's a term that's I love. It's called self-partnering. I love self-parenting. I talk to when I work with clients and myself. There's a whole. Sometimes I'm my own best friend, or sometimes my own best parent. Sometimes I'm all sorts of things to myself. And that's when we realize that when we go to that place of calm and openness and we feel that expansiveness and there's strength there, there's a wholeness there, we can self partner those limiting beliefs that have just got a little bit lost, those traumas, those pains. We can parent them, whatever that part of us needs. We realize we are the energy that they need to come back to. We are the strength, we are the love. And really, any healing, it's always going within and coming back to ourselves. And that's the rebirth, isn't it? We rebirth. So, as you were saying, maybe somebody has an ancestral belief, well, as a family, we're just not successful. I've got these amazing gifts, but it's never us. And that's where I know I wrote something before, and there was somebody who was really successful in her field, and she went, "Do you know? I know I'm better than that." And she says, "I know when I hear them speak, I know they get it wrong, but she says they're just so successful." And as we went deeper with her, there was just this ancestral belief lineage around, but other people are successful, we're not. And as she was able to look at it from that place of wholeness and love and self-partnering or self-parenting, that identity, she was able to lovingly bring it home and rebirth it, integrate it, change it. And it came back into who she was, and it was reborn into, I have infinite value here and I am safe to be successful. And there was other things that came up around, I'm trying to think now, I know Sophie I've shared with you, so I resonated on, am I safe to be seen? Am I safe to speak my truth? And that comes back through years and years of being burnt at stakes and all sorts of stuff for being your authentic self. So there was lots of that got cleared in her. So she rebirthed that identity, and then at the end she was saying, "Gosh, I feel success." She could feel it tingling in her fingers. In fact, as I remember her now, with my fingers are tingling because she said at the end, "I am tingling with the energy of success because I know life wants me and my gifts and values to be out in the world because people need it. They need this knowledge. They need what I have for their highest good." So she could see that false belief of, I'm not the one that's meant to be successful, wasn't just limiting her, it was limiting others because they need what she has.
I yeah I yeah, again, it's it's so connected with, the feeling. Like, again, I'm just kind of reconnecting people that are watching this to the feeling that you get as soon as Amanda just shared that you can connect with it, and you know that by you following that guide, the inside of yourself, that, calling,
Yeah.
how much it's going to impact the people around you. Imagine if, the people that we know, that we call it successful, like Beyonce, if she would say no to using her voice the way that she is using, or she would say, no, I can't be successful, I can't, carry on with that,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have inspired, your friend that didn't inspire us, and so on. And
Yeah.
again, it's just like us reconnecting. It's not about putting guilt of like, oh my God, I'm holding myself back, and I'm holding the world, and I'm not doing anything. And then, that would to be another spiral that we can go into. But you can feel when you're off, let's say, and when you can, that off feeling can help you to bring back again. It's almost, I used to use that, for my clients a lot, with the emotional compass. Do you see what I mean? Is that compass of like, okay, if I'm, why do I desire that, I don't know, specifically goal that I want? Because I want to feel at peace. I want to feel calm. I want to feel, in control. I want to feel that I'm doing, my purpose and everything else. Awesome. So anytime that anything else that we're looking at, it's, creating a difference, is because we're looking at, a direction is saying, hey, let's go back to, feeling calm, feeling at peace, feeling at, in
Yeah.
a good place. And we can, get ourselves back into that place. Sometimes we can do it, like what the analogy of the brushing your teeth by ourselves. Sometimes we need some support, and there's nothing wrong on asking for that. Oh, can you help me to see this? Is a bit, this compass is not, I mean, I can't see it very, I can feel it. It's not going to the right direction. Can you help me out to find this direction? Because it's a bit difficult. Yeah.
Beautiful you shared that, because the person I was talking about, the last person, after doing one or two sessions with her, she, like you do and I do, she was able to then, she did lots of healing and clearing on her own, and then she only got in touch, as you were saying, when I just feel inspired to give you a call.
Mm-hmm.
And then, to be honest, I haven't heard from her in a while, because I know she's, and as we expand and move on, I know that if something comes up, she'll give me a call, because we're saying when, and also I think Matt Kahn, and we've talked about Matt Kahn before, I love his work. Oh my word, adore him. And, he says that even that, you were saying that part of you that said, oh, but I shouldn't have this fear of success. We can even love that part of ourselves. We can say to that part, oh, hey, sweetheart, I can see that you're blaming yourself because you've got a fear of success, or you're blaming yourself because you can feel there are some contractions. It's okay, sweetheart. You're doing contraction brilliantly today. You are doing fear of success absolutely brilliantly. When we put our hand on our heart and we say that from that place of calm and openness and love and self-partnering, self-parenting, um, our subconscious is able to almost stop a minute and say, well, this is new, I'm okay. We're not saying keep on doing that, but when we take the resistance out of anything and lighten it, it is the resistance of something that keeps it going. And when we rate, that's why when we feel an emotion, we stop resisting it. We let ourselves go into it and feel it. And that's where the breakthroughs come in. And that's on a daily basis. It's something I do. I will say, like something comes up, yeah, you're doing that really well. And I'm working with a young boy at the minute, and he has all sorts of worries and anxieties, and I can see they come from his family, and there's all sorts going on. And so it's something I'm working on with him a lot, where he'll come for a session and he'll say, I did worry brilliantly this week. And he said, and it didn't bother me. It was okay. I could sort of, I said, I link my arm with myself, and I say, but I'm always doing my best. I know I'm always doing my best. And we are always doing our best with the awareness that we've got. So, and he was saying, he does this little pattern, and he's able to put, so I give myself a little internal hug, and I'm like my big brother now. And so it's kind of the work we do, but I can't say it in the way that we share it here. It's using a language that he can relate to. But he'll say, it's like, I feel like my inner big brother comes in, and you know, and he's reassuring those parts of his mind that, because he's such a gentle, sensitive, empathic soul. He's amazing. And of course, at school, there's a lot of developing egos. There's a lot going on. And he's having to navigate his compass through that. So he's finding now he's able to clock a situation. He says, I just go in the other direction. I don't try and make it right. I don't try and make that person like me. We're too different. So he's letting lots of things go, and he's starting to trust. I can trust my own internal compass, and I don't need to be. We'll talk another time about vibrational codependency, because he's such an empathic soul. That's something that we can be something we're very aware of. Vibrational codependency, and he's able to be vibrationally aligned with himself. Whereas before, he couldn't be happy until he was in harmony with all the people around him. But we realised that person might not be in a place to be in harmony with us. And that's okay. That's okay. We can come back within ourselves again, be in harmony with ourselves. We allow that person to be where they are. It doesn't mean we have to keep interacting with them. We can send them love, we send them light, we see the truth and glory of who they are, we see their potential, but free will, they're going to be where they need to be. And by taking ourselves out of that, that gives that person chance for them to go within, because there's nothing to react. There's no, because reaction is distraction. When we react to somebody else, it's a distraction. That's why it doesn't work. That's why if there's a reaction with somebody, you take yourself away, you do your own inner healing, and then you come together at a time when you can openly communicate, share what you want to understand, that love comes back. And it was just beautiful to see this young boy, his journey with this. And you can see this inner strength coming back. And he's such a caring person. You know, he'll instantly ask me about how I am before he will let me talk about him. And I'm teaching him that he matters, his feelings matter. It's beautiful he wants to know about me. But you know what, darling, we're here to talk about you today. You know, and he sort of goes, okay, and he's starting to be okay with that.
Awesome. I mean, Amanda, I'm just, again,
So,
looking at the time, just make sure that, you know, we're making it in digestible parts so that, you know, you guys can feel it as well, and we can respect our time as well and our, you know, day to go along. I just want to say a massive thank you again, you know, for what we're doing here together. Do you see what I mean? Without, and it's not just putting it on you or just saying me. If we, you know, didn't agree with this, you know what I mean, and follow our heart and everything, it wouldn't be happening as well. And I want to say a massive thank you for you as well who are watching this, because if you didn't, you know, decide to stay on to watch this and to feel into it, you wouldn't allow, you know, the transformations that you're allowing to happen and the people that you be allowing around you as well. So I hope you got, you know, a little bit more understanding about, you know, how you can almost, like, I'm going to use the word alchemize it. It's, you know, your feelings and emotions, how you can transform them. I'm not saying it's a magical thing, you know, like I know exactly how to do it. It will require practice. It will require sometimes some assistance from someone else. But this is your first kind of baby steps of, like, you know, for some of you that you've been doing it for a while, but it's just like bringing that awareness. There are different ways that we can look at the world. There are ways that we can use that negative thought, the negative feeling or something, or the contraction that we feel into ourselves to reconnect with who we really are, and, you know, transform our world around us by transforming ourselves in that sense. So yeah, thank you again. And any final words, Amanda?
oh no, I love the way you bring it all in and make it understandable. And so thank you very much. I love the way you wrap it up at the end. It's wonderful. So yeah, again, just thank you to Eugenia, and thank you to everyone that's listening, whatever the now is for them, whether it's this present moment or a future present moment. And yeah, and lots of love to everybody.
Awesome, guys. So see you guys on the next episode. And always, like, if you want to, you know, any questions, comments, or anything else, just leave it underneath, and then we speak to you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Love. Bye bye.